Hi guys, welcome to another movie review, and I'm saying another because we have movie reviews in our playlist. Go and check those out. But I'm super excited to be bringing you this particular movie review. Like I'm stoked, honestly. But before I move on with that, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our videos, share it with your friends, and of course, I would like to say a very big thank you to everybody that engaged with our videos, your comments, your likes. We see all of them, and we're saying thank you. Now, this movie review is brought to you by Every NG, your one-stop for unlimited Nigerian trends. And today, the movie that we have up for you is, drumroll, Namaste Wahala. I know it's everywhere. It was like the Valentine movie. Everybody was cozying up with their boo and bae and saying this movie. I'm like, oh well, I don't really have a boo or bae, but I will see it and I will bring you the gist. So yeah, if you're interested in watching that, just stay tuned because I have loads and loads of things to tell you about that movie. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. So yeah, Namaste Wahala is like an Indian pidgin term that basically means hello trouble. I know, right? Like, hello trouble, why? How? But as I get to explain this movie, you understand why it needed that name. And this movie is rated 13, so teenagers of a certain age can see the movie, which is really nice, to be honest. And we also have, a mix of Nolly and Bollywood, but I'm sure you already knew that from the trailer and from the name. Like, we had Nollywood stars talking about Dima Okojie, I'm talking R&D, Ajoke Silva, Anee Icha, K10, that's Kekere Ekun, like amazing actors and actresses. And we also have from our Bollywood side, funny how we have like one of the biggest names in Bollywood, and it was just so funny. Ruslaan, he was one of the main characters, but I'll give you his gist later. We also have Hamisha, we have Segal, amazing people on this movie, trust me. So the movie was executively produced, directed and written by Hamisha Ahuja, and yes, it was also produced by Tien Lawal, and it was set in Lagos State. Now this movie made use of a couple languages. I'm talking English language, that was like the main one. Everybody spoke some level of English in the movie. We also had Igbo, we had Hindi, I mean we cannot miss the Hindi, we had Yoruba, we had a little bit of Nigerian pidgin, just there you go, Nigerian pidgin inside. And it was really nice, to be honest, because watching these two strong names, like movie industries, I'm talking Bollywood and Nollywood, come together was like an amazing thing, to be honest. And whoever came up with this idea is brilliant. Now, this movie is about two lovebirds who are from very diverse cultures, different races, fell in love, normal love story type thing. But there's always a but. Their parents are not in with it, especially Didi's mom. And Didi is played by Dima Okojie, and Didi's dad and Raj's mom, right? So yeah, that's just the lowdown. Now let me go into the scenes of this movie, because as nice as this movie is, there are just some scenes that like, what? How do we get here? And the first one I was talking about is the dramatic meeting between Raj and Didi. I mean, Nollywood, are we not tired of bumping into each other? Are we not tired of every time he's not in the library, he's at the beach, he's at the club, we're always bumping. People cannot just see themselves online and like themselves. So yeah, Raj and Didi bumped into themselves while they were taking like a morning jog, and child, the drama was unnecessary. But moving on from that, we go into Didi's family, the kind of family she's from. She's an only child. Her dad is R&D. His name in the movie was Ernest, and her mom was Ajoke Silva, that's Shola. So basic family breakfast setting. She was eating with her mom. Her dad comes in with this young man that I assumed to be her brother initially, but it turns out it wasn't. So this young man is Somto, played by Ibrahim Suleiman. Come in, eating breakfast, and next thing you know, typical Nigerian parents, why are you not in the company? I want you to follow my line, keep my legacy, yada. And the girl is like, oh my god, daddy, I'm tired of this. I want to work pro bono, I want to be a social worker. And next thing, he's bringing something to the picture. How? How? The young man just came to announce that, look, we signed the deal, and then you're saying, oh, you should marry something. Like, imagine you're sitting down with your parents, and then maybe this guy works with your dad, comes in, and your dad is like, well, you should marry XYZ. Awkward, right? Like, that was literally how it was. And the funny thing was, after R&D made his statement, that's Ernest, and both parents left, This guy called Somto still tried to continue a conversation in the middle of all that awkwardness. Like, how? Anyway, moving on from that, Didi has a friend, her best friend, whose name is Angie. Now, Angie is in the market. That's what she calls it. She's in the love market, looking for who to buy what she's selling. I don't know what she means by that, but she was basically looking for who to buy what she's selling. Just saying that, look, she had been dating around trying to find the Mr. Right, the perfect man, right? So Angie was talking about her love life that, Didi doesn't really know about because she's changing men every other day. And the next thing I know, she's calling Didi and she's crying and she's weeping, and Didi finds herself in Angie's house. Now, Angie is crying about her boyfriend Dave that broke up with her, but she only started dating Dave like a week or two ago. And then she was so upset. But you could tell that those tears were not real because I searched everywhere, I don't see tears in her eyes. Oh yeah, Angie, where are your tears? Nobody knows. Ini, that's Didi, who is her best friend, didn't even know she was dating the Dave. Like, that just shows you how unserious her love life is. Crying without tears about a man that left you, someone you dated for how many weeks? Anyway, let's not get into Angie's issue just yet. So yeah, we also have another funny person. So the thing is, this movie tried to be comic in the midst of sending a message on love. So on Didi's side, we had Angie, her best friend, that was all shades of fun. She was hilarious as well. And then on Raj's side, he had a Nigerian best friend, Imoh. So Imoh is a musician, he's a businessman, he's anything you want him to be honest, because they went for an NGO, like a fundraiser that was organized by Didi's boss and friend, Leila, who also happens to be Raj's cousin. Do you get? So yeah, Leila is Raj's cousin, but Didi doesn't know that Leila is Raj's cousin, and Raj doesn't know that Didi works with Leila. So they meet themselves at the NGO, but that's not what we're talking about now. Let's talk about Imoh's career. Imoh came to an NGO with his demo in one hand and a business plan in the other. I'm like, guy, what exactly is going on here? So he came in with Raj and he's like, look, I must blow today, I must hammer. And literally, you could see Imoh giving people his songs. Like, he brought earpieces especially for the occasion. Like, you must listen to my song. And you could hear it, like, you could see him giving people the earpieces, like, oh, listen to my song, listen to my song. That's a serious man. That's a hustler. He was hustling from all fronts. If you want him to be a business plan, of course, project manager, he can do it. Musician, he's there as well. So yeah, that's Imoh for you, hilarious young man. Well, moving on from Imoh, let's talk about Didi and Raj meeting. They finally met. They started dating, and then the thing I was dreading for the most of this movie happened. Guess what it is? So I know you're dating. I know that we have a little bit of Nollywood in the movie, but do we really have to do the singing and the dancing thing? Literally, we did the churi churi chuke chuke. Literally, like, we had the good old Bollywood singing, choreographed dancing. There was even a part where Didi was wearing the sari. I'm just like, have we not moved past this? But I guess that was, Hamisha's way of bringing like a good old Bollywood into Nollywood, like, to show that this is a mix of cultures. But I just felt like we could have done it in other ways. We didn't necessarily have to do all that singing and dancing. To what end? So yeah, Didi and Raj dating for like 3 months, but nobody has seen anybody's parents until Raj decided to break the whole, oh, I want to meet your parents thing. Now, did I tell you that the first time Raj met Didi, he said he was going to marry her? I don't know if that's how it works in India. Please, if you're Indian and you're watching, is that how it works? He said he was going to marry her, and then on their second meeting, that was at the NGO, he literally told her, look, I'm going to marry you. And Didi's like, what exactly is going on here? So yeah, she had to find out how to tell her parents, because remember that her dad wants her to marry Somto. You get that? You're keeping up with the gist. Her dad wants her to marry Somto, but she wants Raj. Now, she's talking to her best friend Angie, and Angie's like, look, you don't have to tell your parents, right? But next thing we know, somebody else comes into the story, and I'm talking Primo. Primo is her dad's employee. Now, Primo, I don't know how she came in, but she was spying on Raj and Didi, taking pictures and all whatnot, for whatever reason, because I don't know who gave her the rights to do that. Like, this is your boss's child. So why? What's the need? So she was taking pictures, and then when Didi was talking with Angie at the restaurant, just telling her that, look, he wants to meet my parents, I don't know what to do. Primo magically appears from somewhere and is like, oh, where's your Indian boyfriend? Or your dad doesn't know about him, does he? Who cares about your info? So at that point, Angie had to tell Didi, look, you have to get to your dad before Primo gets to your dad. And then Didi had to tell her mom. So Didi goes home, really, really skeptical. She was scared and she's like, mommy, I have something to tell you. But then I don't know why Didi was particularly scared to tell her mom, because her mom looks like the freer parent. She was more relatable. So when she told her mom, I was like, oh my god, who is he? Where is he from? I knew you were seeing somebody, and but I just wanted you to tell me at your own time. And then she now asked the $1 million question, where is he from? And Didi's like, child, he is, well, the next scene just kind of showed us how it happened. So this was when Raj came to meet Didi's parents. Voila. While Shola was trying to be, a courteous person, welcoming him, when Ernest came down, now Ernest is RMD, remember, when he came down, he's like, what? Like, See, I want you to get married, don't get me wrong, but Indian, you're going too far, sis. You're going too far. How? Can't you find other good Nigerian men? You know how parents can be sometimes. I want you to marry from Nigeria. I want you to. So yeah, that was literally the reception that Raj got, and of course he was, very upset. He kind of felt like Didi put him on the spot. Like, she didn't tell her parents that he was Indian. She didn't say, okay, his name is Raj, so that they kind of have an idea of the kind of person they are going to meet. It was just like, oh, I want you to meet my boyfriend, and boom, I bring an Indian. Knowing fully well that your parents are not as receptive. So what were you expecting? You literally put me battle line, in front of the battle line, without any shield, nothing. So he started acting funny, alright? He was upset. He didn't want to talk to her sometimes. He was just acting very irritated at the whole situation, which is understandable, seeing that it was embarrassing. Like, my guy came all suited up. Literally, he came all suited up, and he just received that kind of embarrassing welcome. It was just it was bad. But anyway, Raj's mom decides, oh, I want to visit my son, and she just lands in Nigeria. You know when maybe you are in school, maybe you're schooling in a different state, and your mom calls and she's like, oh, my daughter or my son, how are you doing? I'm in front of your hostel. Ma, what? God will now say, today is not the day you're in school, you will answer question. But that was literally what it was for Raj. His mom just called and was like, oh, I'm at the airport, I'm coming home. He's like, okay, how are we going to get this done? But eventually his mom comes in, he introduces his mom to Didi, and guess what happened? The exact thing that Didi's parents did was what his mom did. So it was not like, okay, so did you do this on purpose? And Didi now got upset, like, okay, so you're out here acting up because I didn't tell my parents about you. Did you tell your mom about me? Because this is how she's treating me. She's saying that I'm not a respectable person. So it was not like, oh, Didi won, Raj won, that kind of situation. Both parties were kind of upset about it. But the thing is, Raj was angry that Didi didn't say anything to her dad when he was saying all that he said. But his mom came and called Didi all sorts, and Raj was just there like, he kept mom like, literally said nothing. So I was not confused, like, is this guy a mother's boy? You know all those people that always tie to their mom's aprons? I hope that's not the storyline you're trying to play, because that is even more difficult to assimilate. Like, why are you like that? But turns out that even though me, at the point when I was seeing that movie, I'm like, whoa, I hope this boy is not a mama's boy. Angie, who is Didi's friend, was also thinking along the same lines. But thank God though, he wasn't, right? Thank God he wasn't. So yeah, that happened with Didi and Raj's mom. And, we just they kind of continued the relationship, but still torn, like, what are we going to do about our parents? Now, Didi has an issue with her dad. She has a court case against her dad. Her dad is a lawyer, she's a lawyer, they were going against themselves, and for some reason or another, she had to move out of the house, right? But before she made that conscious plan to move out of the house, Raj had already invited her to his house, knowing that his mom wouldn't be around for the weekend. See, when you're making those kind of plans, you have to be sure, 1000% sure that this person that you're saying will not be around is really not going to be around. So Raj made plans, invited Didi. Didi's like, I'm not sure. But after the fight with her dad, She now said, you know what, I'm packing my things, I need space, I need to go. And then she moves into Raj's house for the weekend. Now she's in Raj's house, and before we know it, Raj's mother comes back before the expected time. Pakakam. And let me tell you when she calls them, where they were about to kiss. See, Raj did not pray well that morning. That's what I want to tell him. He didn't pray well that morning. So the lady comes back, she's really upset. And the following scenes were just like mother and girlfriend trying to like put themselves as, okay, I'm important to your son, I'm important to my son, that kind of situation, kind of dragging it out. You get that kind of thing. But finally, Didi's mom realizes that, oh, okay, Didi is not at Angie's house. So Angie gave up her location, which was Raj's house, and then Didi's mom lands in Raj's house. Mother. It never ends well, especially if you are not friendly. It will not end well. So Shola goes to pick up her daughter at Raj's house. She's like, why are you here? So you fought with your dad and you came to his house? Like, why did you do that? And next thing you know, Raj's mom is going on like, oh, your daughter is not respectable, she can't respect herself. I was just watching them like this. And that's how they were going, buzz, bam, pyum. That was just it. It was just words and words, hurling insults at each other. And then first Shola, because I'm sure she didn't want to do that. Shola in the movie was a more, she was polite, she was kind. Even when she disagreed with a lot of things, she wasn't the person to just come out rash and insult you, but she was pushed because she actually hurled some insults Raj's way. So that was it, the battle of the mothers. And I'm like, if this is how it is with Raj's mom and Shola, I can't even imagine what it would be like with Raj's mom and Ernest, that's Didi's dad. So eventually, Didi makes her way out of Raj's house, and they had like a very big fight before she moved out because, Raj was saying, don't make yourself the victim here. You were the one that came into my house. And she's like, you invited me. And he's like, but you said no, and you still came with tears in your eyes. Was I supposed to turn you back? In my own opinion, that was very, very insensitive of Raj, but he said what he said, and they fought, and she moved out. Relationship, it's like it's over, but they didn't say, oh, look, we are over. But, they weren't talking, they weren't seeing, all those things were just, how these things go now. So, now, to point out something, the person who, put out the costumes for this movie did an amazing job, because from the point I was saying to this particular point where they fought, all their costumes were on point, makeup on point, hair on point. And that's Yolanda Okereke, who is the Nigerian costumer, and Rihal, who is the Indian costumer. I think they did an amazing job. They had a lot of bright colors. I noticed. I think they were in love with bright colors, but it wasn't anything that was too hard on the eyes. It was still, beautifully put together. So I would give the costumers that one. The costumes were perfect. They were amazing costumes. Now, remember that I told you that Ernest and Didi were battling themselves in court. Let me tell you why. So remember that Didi works pro bono for an organization that helps women who have been abused. And she had this co-worker, Jane, who went to meet a client, and then the client abused her. Guess who the client is? Frodd! Frodd is our client. Now, I remember that while he was sleeping in Nigeria house, Frodd did say he wanted to go into acting. So it looks like he's making good on those dreams some 2 years later. But, he came into the movie. We saw Frodd, not the gentle Frodd we used to see in the house, but Frodd here was abusing. He was beating people left, right, center, punching noses and giving black eyes. So yeah, Frodd was like a spoiled son of one of Ernest's biggest stakeholders in his company, one of Ernest's biggest clients. So obviously it was natural for Ernest to want to defend Frodd. Now imagine how it was seeing that his daughter was on the other side of the case. He tried to bully her. That was what caused their fight. So he tried to bully her out of the whole situation, don't do it, you're my daughter. And she's like, okay, I quit. So now they are meeting in the boardroom to kind of discuss issues. And then that Primo, that Ovasabi Primo, the one that was taking pictures and saying, no, I'm going to tell your dad you have an Indian boyfriend, that was played by Osas Ighodaro. Osas was a lawyer in Ernest's firm, and she was against Didi, Ernest's daughter. She wanted to take Didi's spot, and she was really upset that what she wanted so bad, Didi was taking it for granted. So they had this court case to settle, but they came in to talk as, people, the inner caucus of the court case, before they take it too far. And the first evidence that was presented, I beg your pardon, showed Frodd being stabbed. And then Ini was like, Jane, what's going on? You said he beat you, you're showing me injuries. How is it that the only footage we have is of you stabbing him? This doesn't sit well with, or like it doesn't do us well in court. You're going to be trashed in court. So that case, we thought it was over, right? And after they finished settling that thing, you now see Frodd, oh yeah, he was balancing like this, forming spot. I'm like, oh, shh, don't do that. So yeah, that was like the first time they met. That was the first court situation. Now, remember that those two, I'm talking Didi and Raj, were unhappy about the situation, but somehow they decided to go have fun after their friends convinced them to go have fun. And that was like the only time, I noticed that was the only time we had like a proper Nigerian song in the movie, and it was MI's song. So they played MI's song, and next thing I know, everybody was dancing, grooving, and I see MI. I'm like, what? MI is an actor now. But the thing is, MI did not exactly act, he just made a cameo appearance. And I'm like, is it necessary? Is it really necessary to have MI? But MI made an appearance, they were happy. I was more like, okay, so you guys went to hang out. Did you call MI to perform for your hangout, or it was just a coincidence that you saw MI there? So yeah, MI showed up, that one went past that. Now recall that I told you that Frodd was the one offending. He was the one that beat somebody, black, blue, purple, red, orange. So the first case, the first time they sat down to talk about it, he looks like he was the victim, right? But Didi did her findings, she shoveled her way, she snuck her way, maneuvered her way to get like the actual footage. And it turns that Primo actually altered that. She altered the footage, she just doctored it and made it look like Frodd was the victim here. So when Didi actually got the original footage, which she got with Raj's help, if we're being honest, but let's not talk about that because she was being too proud to say, oh, I got it with your help. She just said one half thank you and went away. Well, yeah, Didi got the original footage finally. This had their second sitting, and that was when we now saw what Frodd really did. Now, ending that was Primo was sacked because obviously why would you do that kind of thing and jeopardize the company? So they told Frodd to pay the sum of 75 million naira in damages and also attend anger management classes. And as a typical rich boy, he was like, what? I can't do that. And then he turned to RMD as in Ernest in the movie, aka owner of the company, and said, look, you old, he called him names, old something idiots, you have to sort this out. And before I even said, because me, I was like, oh, you spoke to RMD like this. Before I could blink, I just heard, "Towai" on his face. Frodd was shocked. He was shocked for like 2 seconds, and then he was trying to fight back. And thankfully, Ibrahim Suleiman was there to separate both of them. And then that was how that situation ended. And Frodd was like, oh, you were here for my dad. No. Rich boy tears. And then he walked out of the conference room, right? And then, like I said, Primo was sacked because she doctored the documents. Obviously, that's fraud. So follow Frodd and be going. So after saying that, like, it was just a whole lot of RMG. They come to terms with the fact that, okay, my daughter won, a little bit of pride here and there, but eventually they had like a family situation where, Raj and Raj's mom came over to Didi's family's house and they were having, lunch together, they were talking, and it now looks like, Raj's mom and Didi's mom made friends because they brought like a basket of fruits and, just a peace offering. However, there was one stubborn person in that mix, and we all know who it is, Ernest, aka RMD. He was still like, I'm not still sure about this Indian boy you brought, something like that. And then Raj's mom told him the truth. He's like, oh, you have a law firm, you're a big man, but you're not so smart because you have a daughter like Didi and you still want her to go on and be a lawyer like you. Like, she's a lawyer, you don't need her in your company. A couple bitter truths here and there. Next thing we know, RMD stood up and walked out. I even thought he was angry. Apart, it was Frodd's dad calling to threaten him, threaten his daughter, and all whatnot. But you know how these things usually end. It's always a happy ending, because after taking that call, he just realized how proud he was of his daughter. He came back, everybody made peace. Next thing we know, we are wearing saris and wearing traditional outfits. I'm like, hello, who planned this wedding? Why am I not there? Why? So yeah, they had a wedding, and it was so hilarious because Didi performed. If you see Didi's performance, hilarious. But yeah, it was really amazing. Everybody, the fuse of cultures. We had the Indian dancers. And here's one funny thing they did with that wedding. They were renaming Nigerian foods and adding a little bit of Indian names. Like you see Jollof Bankini somewhere, see Puff Puff something somewhere. I was just like, okay, this is it. Like, you guys actually tried with this one. So it was like a fuse of cultures, amazing wedding. It just went on and on, happily ever after, as usual as it is with most romantic movies. So yeah, that's basically the lowdown of what happened in Namaste Wahala. I think it was a really good watch, but some things there were just so cliche to me. The entire story was a repetitive one. We've seen it before, but of course, fresh faces. And considering the fact that this is Hamisha's first, movie as a producer, I think that there's still room for development. Like, definitely she's going to do better as time goes on. So yeah, kudos to her on that one. Now let's grade the movie based off certain things. You know how we do here now. You know how we do in our movie reviews. So of course we have cinematography, and for cinematography, to be honest, I will give an 8. An 8/10, because they had amazing shots. The person who held the camera, the videographer, that's what they called, yes, did an amazing job in capturing detail. So yeah, I would give them an 8/10 on that one. Now we also have casting, and that casting will get a 9, to be honest, because we didn't see any overly old person trying to play 30-something-year-old, or someone who looked obviously young trying to play an age that was older. Everybody was kind of age appropriate for the roles that we're playing, and they actually went out of their way to bring actual, Indian actors to come in. I think it was a good cast. If you ask me, it was a good cast, so I'll give them a solid 9. Now, with message delivery, it's a 6.5 for me. Don't ask me why it's a 6.5 for me. Yeah, on that one, I'll give them a 6.5. So costumes, like I mentioned earlier, the costumes were amazing. The costumes were beautiful. Both the Indian costumes and the regular English costumes, and even the traditional costumes at the wedding, they were amazing. So with costumes, I would give a 9. Now with the screenplay and the story, story definitely a 6, because like I mentioned earlier, it was a bit cliche. I feel like it's 2021. We should have more to Bollywood than certain storylines, and also Nollywood. And the fact that it's romantic doesn't necessarily mean everybody must end up happy or something like that. So you get now. So I would give them a 6 on that one. So with the directing was good. There were a few lapses here and there, especially in continuity. But the directing was good, so that would definitely get a 7. Also, with the scriptural integration, now being able to interpret the script, that would definitely get a 7.5. And with the effects, I'm giving effects 9, because if you saw Jane when she was beaten, Jane is the girl that caused the court case. Even me, I was scared. I'm like, hey, did they really beat this girl like this? It was good. It was really good. So yeah, I'll give them a 9 on that one. So yeah, that's it. Namaste Wahala. If you have seen this movie, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I would really love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to see what you saw that I didn't see. And also, if you haven't seen this movie, let me know if it's something that you'd like to watch. Drop your comments. I love to engage with you. We love to engage with you. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us on this episode, this review. It was so much fun bringing it to you. And drop your suggestions on movies that you'd like us to review as well. We'd love to hear them. So yeah, bye. And until next time, my name is Judith. This is Every NG.